As Nigel makes waves in the jungle, we are, of course, missing him here at GB News, and I did have a chance to sit down with his girlfriend, Laure Ferrari, for the very first time. She's never done a television interview before, to learn a little bit more about the man and also for her to respond to some of the claims that have been out there in recent days. So, Laure, how are you?
I'm great. I'm doing well.
A little bit nervous?
Just a bit, yeah. It's not exactly the sort of thing I usually do, but hey, you know, because it's you, because it's GB News, I think I should be part, should be part of it and do my bit.
Now, you don't court publicity, that's fair to say. This is very unusual for you. So why did you decide that you wanted to do an interview today?
Well, I suppose to show a bit of, support for Nigel, and also I've been reading all sorts of, nonsensical articles about me being a secret girlfriend. I'm not secret, I'm here, I'm here. All our friends, all our, family members know who I am. So I sort of, want to come out. I'm not the secret girlfriend. I do exist and I do support Nigel. It's very important for me to say that.
How did it make you feel reading some of those things?
Well, it's a bit upsetting because it's old news as well. I don't know, it's just full of inaccuracies, really. Apparently I'm a French politician. Well, if I were a French politician, I would be doing a very bad job, drinking in an English pub. That wouldn't be great. That would be a good start. And things like, you're a bit of everything. And I think that what the journalists have been doing really is they've been a bit lazy and sort of taking, the old news and trying to turn it into new news. But it's fake news. So anyway, I didn't feel great, but hey, that's what the press is like, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you're obviously an incredibly strong lady, but it must have taken a bit of guts to watch Nigel in the jungle.
No, that's the easy bit. You must be joking. It's the easy bit. I want to see him because the worst thing really in life is because we are not in touch. They can't communicate with the outside world. So I haven't spoken to him in days, what is it, is it 15 days, something like that?
Like that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm pleased to see him, even if it's not always nice, I'd rather see him doing nasty things rather than not see him at all, if that makes sense. So I'm all for it.
So that first night that he went in and the first footage that went out, what was it like for you? Were you a bit nervous? No, seriously, I wasn't, because I actually believe in him. I know that if anyone can do it, that's him. He's so resilient. I mean, he has the resilience of a million men. He's mentally strong, and also he likes a challenge. He likes a new challenge, And I think he sees this as a bit of an experience, a new experience. So, no, I think he's doing great and I'm fully confident. Let's talk about some of the things that have been going on in the jungle. Now, we are very much at the mercy of the edit.
Of course.
When it comes to these things, which I think was probably the biggest gamble for him going in there.
Yeah.
Especially with the way the media is often quite stacked against him.
Yeah.
So there was a couple of head-to-heads with Fred.
Yes.
And Arch Remainer.
I know.
Go on. What do you make of that?
Oh, he annoyed me. And don't forget, I'm a French, I'm a French person myself. And I was like, well, isn't it a bit rude to come from a different country and lecturing the British electorate or, anyone about, the way the British people voted in 2016? I'm just thinking, well, how would I feel being in France if an Englishman or a German person, even worse, came just to say, hey, you voted badly, shame on you, and why did you? I just think it's out of place, to be honest with you. But to be fair to Fred, he made peace with Nigel, and then they shared a couple of jokes, and that was it. And then I think he came back, did he?
A bit.
Yeah, a bit. But that's fine. It's fine.
And Nigel's used to these discussions, and I mean, he didn't back down, did he?
It's easy peasy. These people are really they're not your problem. He's been dealing with enemies and attacks and jokes for decades, we're talking about actually serious stuff like death threats or, threats on your family members and things like that. So having an argument with Fred or Nella is really not going to faze him at all. He'd be fine.
I think that the Nella thing, which you've raised there, she essentially accused him of being a racist or not being popular with black people specifically, she said.
Oh,
She
Nella.
also blamed that on the internet, that she read on the internet.
I know.
How do you think Nigel dealt with that?
Very well, and I feel sorry for Nella. I think she epitomises that snowflake generation where they are told that they should be offended by every little thing. And it's not a good place to be when you're offended and upset all the time. You know, it's quite, you know, it's not really nice. And I think he has been very gently with her. But again, that's the sort of man he is. Maybe ITV or people were expecting him to be a bit more, you know, like punchy and a bit more aggressive. But he has lots of patience. He understands people, and he actually understands this generation very well.
And that's one of the reasons why he's in there, isn't it? To try to connect with
Yes.
a wider audience.
Yes. What a good move.
You think it's a good move?
It's like back in the days when people say, don't do TikTok, you know, you're wasting your time and so on and so forth. I don't know for how long he's been doing TikTok now, but quite a few months. The number of people, young black people have been stopping him in the street to say, hey, can we do a selfie with you? Has been astonishing. So in that sense, doing The Jungle, doing I'm a Celeb, get me out of here, was 100% the right decision.
And the way that he's handled some very controversial topics in there, the cultural appropriation stuff, is difficult for most people at the best of times, especially when you can feel, I think, like you're only seconds away from maybe tripping up. But
why? Why? I don't understand this. I mean, people have lost any sense of fun, any sense of... So, for instance, you know, I do... You know, Beaujolais Nouveau Party, the theme is you have to be dressed as a French person. So people come with a beret. I wear a beret, onions around my necks and around my neck. And that's the thing, you know. I don't know why people want to be offended by, you know, these things. It's just beyond me. But maybe you're right. And he did say yesterday it's probably an age thing.
I think that's an important thing, because actually to say that there is maybe an age divide, he said that maybe there weren't these sensitivities several years ago. I don't think he's wrong about that.
No, he's right, yeah.
And I wonder whether or not ITV and the wider public are seeing a very different man from the man that they expected. But before I come to talk to you about what he's like away from the cameras and away from politics, we have all seen quite a lot of Nigel while he's been in the jungle. Some of the shower scenes?
Yes, just a bit, yeah.
What do you feel about that?
Do you know what? So the first time we saw his behind on TV, I was sat next to Nigel's mum, right? So we watched the thing together and we looked at each other and we went like, we giggled. Because honestly, at the end of the day, it's just a behind, it's just a bottom, and he's clean. I don't believe in that nonsense of having a shower, wearing your swimming trunks, and it's, you know, he went for it. It was like, you know, yeah, he's a clean man, you see.
He's a clean man.
He's
exactly.
very clean.
He wanted a proper wash.
He wants a proper wash. He likes the camp to be tidy.
Yes.
Right? Because it's very important.
It's interesting you say that, because there was a scene where he got a little bit angry. Well, not angry.
The rat episode.
The rat episode.
I know.
He got ratty about the rat.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe that showed the kind of man that he is. You know, quite disciplined and organised and not afraid to tell people what's what in that sense. Do you recognise that?
I think he has shown leadership, but in a nice way. Just saying, hey guys, we have to live together for quite a long while. We do not want rats, you know, in the camp. Let's be organised. Can you imagine Boris Johnson? I don't know if we can say that, but can you imagine Boris Johnson in a camp? You know, there's thousands of rats everywhere. Well, you don't want, you know, rodents in your camp where you're sleeping, right? It's just dangerous and disgusting. So, and it happened again last night, didn't it? And this time, Fred and him were together on the same page, saying, "Hey, we're going to take charge now, and there's no messing about."
And I know that he's seen by many people as, you know, a big drinker and loves to have his cigarettes and all of that stuff. How do you think he's coping in there without drinking? I think he looks quite well.
He looks amazingly well. I mean, I look at him and I say, "Oh, you haven't looked so well since I've met him, really." But it's true. And I think that it would do that to anyone, because if you think about our daily habits, whether it's coffee or tea or alcohol, or we are abusing our bodies in a sense. I'm not saying that coffee's bad, but if you drink too much, then it's not good, and so on and so forth. And I just think, looking at him, he's looking extremely well. He's got a bit of a tan. He looks quite happy and relaxed with his campmates. I think he's having a blast.
Yeah, and that's important because you know better than anyone, really.
Yeah.
So when you see his interactions in there, you think he's in his element.
Yeah. And I think that his campmates are really good, very nice to him. So I know that sometimes with the edits, you may think that, they keep having a go at him. I don't believe that for 1 second he would look so relaxed and happy if his campmates were picking on him every day. So I think there's quite a camaraderie that you don't really see on screen. But he looks very, very relaxed, very content, very in his element. He's in his element. He's an outdoorsy person. He loves, sleeping, outdoors and fishing and doing all sorts of things. So he wouldn't be out of, He'd be happy. He is happy. I can tell he's happy in that context.
And you think he could go all the way to the end?
Yeah. It's. I think he will make it to the finalists.
And you'll be there.
I will.
Greet him, because this was another thing that was said initially, wasn't it? That you won't be there, but
she won't go to Australia to welcome him. Basically, wanting people to think that he's a Billy No Mate and nobody wants to welcome him. No, of course I'll be there. Of course I will be there. I miss him. I want to see him. I want to hug him.
Oh, bless you. It's really sweet, isn't it? And why do you love him so much?
Because he's a nice man. He really is. He's genuinely a nice, gentle person. He's very patient, which is great because he's very patient with me. And he's fun and he's entertaining and he's loyal. He's a good egg.
Laure is speaking on camera for the first time. The first part was, quite fluffy, I suppose. But this next part now, she delves into whether he has a chance at making it to be Prime Minister, but also how his political life affects her. And she answers questions about racism allegations, etc. Let's take it away. What's it like behind the scenes with Nigel? I mean, we're in his local now, aren't we?
Yes.
Really? And he comes here quite a bit.
Yes, that's our local pub. With a Christmassy vibe.
Nigel, away from the cameras, away from the pressures of television and politics,
yes.
What's he like?
An ordinary bloke. He goes shopping to a local supermarket. He just goes to the butcher. He comes here. He gardens. He's just a normal person. The only thing is a bit of a workaholic. So I will say that, and that is quite noticeable. So he does work a lot. So from, he gets up at 4 a.m, something like that, and starts working from 5. And then the day, and of course, that he's got his show on GBNews, which is from 7 to 8. So he really works from 5 a.m. until 8 p.m. So these are long days. So that's the only thing that might be different from your average person. But apart from that, he just enjoys the same thing you enjoy.
Yeah. What's that like for you? Because behind every some people will call him a great man. Behind every great man, there's usually a great woman.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. But what's that like for you? Because it must be tough. He works all the time, very, very active, both socially and professionally, very driven.
Yes.
As well.
Oh, yeah.
Knows his own mind.
Yeah.
What's that like for you?
It's great. Means it's out of my way most of the time. It's brilliant. He does his thing, I do my thing. No, it's a good thing, I believe in, people who have convictions and motivations in life, and he's, as you say, he's really driven. So, for me as a woman, it's a good thing.
Dealing with some of the issues where a lot of people want Nigel to fail at everything.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And possibly because of the nature of the kind of work that he's in and been involved in, but also the nature of the British press and the global media, there can be a lot of intrusion there. There can be a lot of allegations of things like racism, for example.
Oh, yeah.
People lob out that.
Dear.
Yeah, you roll your eyes there. Why?
I mean, look, I've never heard Nigel say anything racist, in my life. And I'm quite a religious person, and I would never say that if I didn't. I swear to God, he's never said anything racist in front of me. And if he was a racist, I would be the first person to know. I wouldn't tolerate it myself. So it really annoys me. And I think that's what people have been doing over the years, is to amalgate, to mix the, controlled immigration theme with being a racist, which, it's crazy. All the countries in the world are, managing the borders and want controlled immigrations, and we are no different. So I don't know how they've managed to do that, but somehow they have, and it's worked, you see, because when you see the reaction of people like Fred or Nella, they are buying this narrative, because that's what they've been hearing for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So of course they are going to meet Nigel in the jungle, and the first thing they're going to go is, hey, you're a racist, or hey, but it couldn't be, further from the truth.
No, indeed. And yeah, obviously, if he does well, or however well he does, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? But what do you think he wants to do when he comes out of the jungle?
Have a good meal. Oh, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. In terms of, well, in order to answer this question, I think that you need to keep in mind why he went in the jungle in the first place. And it was very clear that it was to reach to a larger audience. Why would you do that if you didn't have an ulterior motive in mind? And I think potentially, possibly, I can't, speak for him, but, he might be considering going back to politics at some stage, And if you want to do that, and if you want to win an election, of course you need to reach to a larger audience, especially to the young people who do not really do TV or do not do politics, and will be voters one day, if they're not voting already, that is. So I don't know. I'm not saying that's what he wants to do. It's probably what he doesn't want to do. But the truth of the matter is, does he have a choice?
What do you mean by that? Does he have a choice?
Well, if you look, there's no arguing that Nigel loves his country, right? And that's why he campaigned for Brexit, because it was too damning to see a country being run by a foreign body somewhere in Brussels. So and that's why he was so determined and focused on Brexit. Now, Brexit was delivered badly, very badly. The successive prime ministers, how many have we had?
Loads.
Yeah,
Too many,
exactly.
yeah.
I've done a bad job at trying. Well, they haven't even tried. And so it's heartbreaking for him, for people like me, for our friends, for our family, for this country, to see that when, we're being run by idiots. We are run by idiots, technically. I'm sorry for saying this, but I'm sure it's the same, your viewers will share the same opinion. In that sense, Nigel probably will think that he has a duty to come back to politics. It's a duty thing.
How do you feel about that? Because if he's successful, and he's as successful as you possibly could be in politics, which would make you prime minister, that would have a massive impact on your life, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's really not on my bucket list, I'm going to be honest with you. I just that's the last thing I want. But it's not about what you want, I think, in life sometimes. It's about what is best, And life has been quite enjoyable over the last few years, He's loving his job at GBNews, we have 2 dogs, we walk them, we come here, it's great. Of course, the day you walk in number 10, it stops, right? You can forget about all the things you enjoy in life, and it's the pressure, and it's the little, funny tactics of the establishment, and it's not going to be nice. If you look at Trump, Trump is going through right now, just on the basis that he's going to run again, you're just thinking, oh, well, what is Nigel going to face if he's officially standing again?
That must be quite daunting, really. I mean, you've obviously thought about it.
Oh, yeah.
So you've weighed that up and you've come to your own conclusions about that. But that must be quite scary.
I think so, yeah. It is scary. It is scary. Much scarier than the jungle, I can tell you that. The jungle is just like a walk in the park, really, when you think about it, because being a prime minister is just such a heavy responsibilities on your shoulders, but on the also keeping in mind that they've done such a bad job that you can only do a better job. So in that context, I think that it becomes a bit less scary. I think that whatever, if Nigel goes, but I'm not saying he is going to do it.
Yeah.
But he would be a good prime minister. I would say that, and I think he would do a good job at it.
Interesting. And he's obviously going to have to deal with a lot of flack there and a lot of opposition. But you think he's capable of doing that and not getting sucked into, the establishment, as it were?
Oh, well, the establishment will always be there, and we see it every day. Oh, and they are getting ready already. They have, that's the establishment for you, and it doesn't happen overnight. So for the last few years, actually since probably he started his work with GBNews, he's gained influence, hasn't he? And I think they're freaking out a bit, to be honest with you. They're starting to threaten. They're starting to go like, "Ooh, is he going to do it or not?"
When you first started seeing Nigel, it was quite a long time ago now, actually, wasn't it? Did you just track that for me then? Because that's quite a journey, isn't it, for you personally?
Well, I don't know in what sense.
Well, I suppose when he started out, European Parliament.
Yeah.
There's been goodness knows how many elections both.
By the way, I never worked for him. I just want to...
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah,
go on.
That was another thing. Like, I worked for Nigel Farage and he appointed me at these, well-paid... Never did that. Never worked for him ever in my life. He never, gave me any particular job. So just wanted to... But yeah, so since he, he came out of the European Parliament... Did you ever think
that you'd be sitting down having a conversation? And I was listening to the radio on the way up here, and it is now a mainstream conversation to discuss about the possibility of Nigel Farage one day being Prime Minister. Okay. Did you ever think, when you first met him, that you would be having those conversations?
To some extent, yes. I know it's surprising. I know it's very surprising, but I think that... I don't know. Was it General de Gaulle that said that he always had this feeling that he was, and I think Churchill said the same thing. So obviously, I'm not I'm not as important, but you can see sometimes the potential in someone, can't you? And of course, I'm biased. Because he's my special man in my life, but. You can see the potential in someone, and you can see, look, you are clearly the best person in the UK right now to do the job. You're the best person. He's the best man.
One last one. How do you think Nigel's going to feel when he comes out of the jungle and realises we've done an interview?
I think he's going to hate it. I tell you what, is because he doesn't like compliments. So if you just, if you pay compliments in public, he goes all shy and like, oh, stop it. So me doing that with you and then, and obviously praising his work and praising how well he's doing in the jungle, he's going to be extremely embarrassed, which is good.
Good. Well, Laure, thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Very much.
Thank you,
for
Patrick.
somebody who doesn't do a lot of these things, you're incredibly good at it.
Oh, so thank you.
Maybe a career, maybe you'll have your own show soon. Who knows, eh? But thank you.
With you, though.
I'd do it. Yeah.